portion of the.
Okay, 6:30. Okay, it is 6:30 on Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. I call this town of Oregon board meeting to order at 1138 Union Road, Oregon, Wisconsin. With that, could I get roll call, Jennifer?
Kate Gladding, here. Fred Clark.
Here.
Wayne Ace.
Here.
Carl Walzer.
Here.
Arlen Kai.
Here. Thank you. 3, approval of last month's minutes. I'll call for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Got a motion from Carl to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Kate. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item 4, financial report and payment vouchers. Call for motion to approve or disapprove.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial report and payment vouchers as presented.
A motion from Fred, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Carl. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item 5, appearance by Dane County Sheriff Deputy Barton. I don't see him in the audience. Have you heard anything from him, Jennifer?
No.
All right. Item 6 is public comment. Anybody in the audience have anything to comment on? Please state your name and address.
Laura Wilmot, 5596 Windridge Road. I know that you guys on the agenda today have the new plan commission plan in place, and I'm just simply here to ask that you do take some type of action on it today. Reasons that I just think it's valuable to do that is twofold. One, we postponed it from, or not we, you guys postponed it from last time to this time because you didn't want to result in a tie vote. And if you postpone it until the new people come on board, there could potentially be a tie vote with no deciding factor coming out of it. And then secondly, understanding that new people are coming on, but none of you guys have been like elected out. Those of you that are leaving are electing to leave. So you still do represent the town. And so we're just hoping that you guys can make some type of decision on it. That's it.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? Public comment? Name and address?
Steve Root, 993 Tipperary Road. I want to say thank you to you personally for the years of service that you put into the township. 20+ years, 27,
26.
26.
Even number.
And it's been a pleasure for at least 10 of those years to be on board with you. I say thank you personally.
Yep. I thank you too, Steve, for being on the park committee. You've been there since what, 1980?
Yeah, something like that.
So you got 40+ years. Way more than me. Thank you, Steve. Name and address.
Mark O'Brien, 408 Glenway Road. I'll just second his comment.
Thank you.
I'll
Somebody else?
third it and add Fred.
How many years you got, Fred?
10.
Fred's got 10. All right, thanks. 7, communication of Dane County Board. Jerry was in, he had another meeting tonight. He's got board meeting tonight, so he couldn't be here. He had nothing to report. 8 is park report, Steve.
Yes. We had a nice park meeting last night. We had an individual from Park City here to talk about impact fees and needs assessment. And it was an interesting presentation. Tim Janachek and I have agreed to work together on a needs assessment to keep the costs down for putting the presentation together. Park City has agreed to put an outline together and somewhat of a proposal for us to look at to move forward and putting something together for us. They are going to present to us a one that has been done. I can't remember from where it was, what community it was. But they will be sending that to us. In your package, you have a other systems that the park committee approved last night. There are 2 really large aged out willow trees that need to come down. And so the proposal is to pull these trees down, remove the stump, and grind up the area, make it look decent. And there's a very large trunk, at least 15-foot trunk, a large elm tree in the northwest corner of the park. That's an eyesore and needs to come down. That's included in this. And also going to remove the stump And there's 4 oak trees, young oak trees that they're gonna be able to still prune. To allow the mower to get underneath it, so that they can cut around the trunks. So, the cost is $4,875. I would like approval for that, so I can let them know when to get started.
Okay, for motion to approve or disapprove,
I'll make a motion to approve the $4,875 to take care of the trees as presented.
that motion to approve by Fred, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Carl, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, gonna say an aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries.
The last thing I have to present is last year. Girl Scout Troop 9202 gave a presentation to the park committee wanting to put in a little library at the Hillcrest Park. And if you recall that park, we lost a tree. We were forced to take them down due to aging. And we would like to replace that tree. And we do have a donor for that tree, so there'll be no cost to the township. So I'd like approval to put that little library in that park plus a tree. You know, totally amazing.
Which park is this in?
Hillcrest neighborhood park.
So somebody donate a tree, you got a tree, or what you put in?
Somebody will donate the tree.
You know, kind you put in, or
What's that?
you know, kind you'll put in, or you have an idea? Oh, okay, I don't care.
Oh, maple, I'm sorry, maple.
Maple? Oh, okay.
Yeah, there'll be a maple. I'm sorry.
So do we got to
Yeah. Placement of the little library.
put that library in and replace the tree? There's no cost to the town. So
I'll make a motion to approve the maple tree being put in and the little library at Hillcrest Park.
that motion from Fred, is there a second? Kate, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, saying aye. Aye. All same sign. Carries.
Thank you, that's it.
That it, thanks, Steve. 9, discussing possible approval recommendation for plan commission. Arlen?
Right, we had presented last time, and Fred wanted to have the full board here to be discussing it. This was, we had the comprehensive plan from October 17th has been submitted to everybody, and that has been recommended to be moving forward to public hearing. The board had requested looking at the getting more information on the legacy lots. And if you look at the 2 maps, page 13 is what has been recommended by the Plan Commission. Page 14 is the map requested by the board to look at. Things are to move forward with the comprehensive plan as recommended in scenario 1, or to be sending back to Plan Commission to be studying scenario 2 for possible inclusion in the comprehensive plan. So obviously that's going to be taking some rehashing. It's been hashed out before. The feeling from the Plan Commission had been that this was this is something that needs to be had for additional development possibilities. Needs to be fair across the board. This legacy has been not included since 94, 95. So that's all pushing 30 years that they have not been allowed. And we get into the usual thing, well, how come they get to and I don't get to, kind of a situation. The Plan Commission was looking at, let's look at density. In fact, we are going to be having a work session on density and how to deal with that, which again, as an amendment, look at something that's fair all across the town. So option one again is approve or accept the report for the accept the comprehensive plan and start moving it forward to public hearing, at which we may or may not be getting more people weighing in on the issue of legacy and density and future development, which can be, again, handled by amendment or delay the process and say, study scenario 2 and come back to the board.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
You threw me with something here. My understanding was that what the plan commission is presenting tonight is scenario 1 and scenario 2, with the board to choose which one to go forward to the next step. And the next step might not be the formal public hearing, but might be info sessions for residents, Q&A sessions. There was a communication a day ago from Tim indicating that looking for opinions on whether or not there should be additional hearing-like meetings before the public hearing itself.
That's part of it.
Okay,
So that could be part of it. We are looking at having in May, we have a work session scheduled in May, the first part of May, to be looking into density.
that's difficult. So going back to this, my understanding was that the plan commission has already essentially vetted either scenario 1 or scenario 2.
They have
Both
vetted both of them.
both being more or less corrections to either mapping or to the idea of rights being taken away in the 90s. And the purpose of it being on the agenda tonight is for the board to say, let's move forward to the next step, the next info sessions or whatever, with one of these scenarios, and not, regardless of which one we choose, it does not go back to the plan commission for more research on scenario 1 or scenario 2. It would go to under the time, well, the timeline would be adjusted. If we have info sessions or Q&A or anything like that, in all likelihood, they'll push out the formal public hearing more than it typically would be, because that'd be 30 days out. So that's my understanding of what we're looking at tonight. And what you're saying is not what I understand it be.
Okay, well, I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. So
I'm saying-
we've got,
Okay.
let's start over again. If we have an approved or recommended for approval comprehensive plan that's dated October 17th. Okay, that is dealing with scenario 1. If the town board wants to direct the plan commission to be investigating scenario 2 and number of methods for the, Tim was putting forward some methods for that. That was part of that email that you saw.
Right.
That would be
Maybe we're saying the same thing,
we could.
but I think what the edge to what I'm understanding about the situation is that if we say tonight that we want to go forward with the plan and scenario 2 built into it, then there would not necessarily be more research by the plan commission. The plan commission would conduct these resident meetings, info sessions, as a step or 2 steps toward the formal public hearing.
There will have to be a rewrite to include this, you don't just scenario 2 in there. There'll be a rewrite of the comp plan.
But things would still progress based on scenario 2 towards these info sessions and towards the public hearing. That's my understanding. That's my understanding of what was proposed in the last 24 hours as far as those in between meetings. If we decided not to do those, which I think we should do them, So if we decided not to do that, we would approve the plan, incorporate scenario 2, move to a public hearing. But what I think we're talking about tonight is approve the plan, incorporate scenario 2, move to these informational meetings for residents to collect any kind of feedback, and then move to the public
It's
hearing.
possibly approved scenario 2.
But
Should we
all of
just
this is approve the draft with scenario 2. It's still a draft until it's not. Correct.
So we just approve this to move it on to a public hearing? Shouldn't it go to a public hearing before the board approves it?
But I think we're approving the move to the next step. Not the actual draft itself, because the draft.
There's going to be public hearings in here.
Well, this says presentation of final draft. Is what this reads.
Yes,
And I think, and that's number 2.
and the final draft is with number 1. The map number 2 is the map that board has requested to look at.
To go in front of a public hearing? Or for us to adopt and put in the plan?
That's what this board needs to say. This board needs to say,
Well, I think from the beginning, it said it was gonna go through public hearings before it was gonna get changed or adopted.
okay,
So
it is very, start with the blank, scenario 1, that's the comp plan. That has been recommended for your approval.
Can I say something?
But just finish off here, the 2 was you wanted to look, the town board wanted to look at map 2. That has been presented to you to look at.
Okay.
If you're going to be directing map 2, scenario 2, to be included in the master plan, then that has to go forward to the public hearings. And then to the public hearings, there will be a last approval by the board.
it,
Okay,
You know, I looked at the letter that Tim Janacek, the chairman of the planning commission, sent to the 3 of you, and I would like to go along with what he recommended.
I agree.
And I'm saying right here, we want to start with the new board, getting more information out to everybody before we make some decision. So we want to have some of those people that have these legacy lots have a chance to come in and hear us discuss it. We want to have people come in and discuss TDR, and then they will have a chance. And then we come back here and decide what we're going to recommend after we find this out. I mean, I think that's a wonderful idea and a good way to move forward without rushing it right now to make sure everybody understands. I mean, people don't even understand TDR yet. And it's going to be in there, yes, but I think we need to have a chance to notify them and say, come in, we're going to tell you about it. Come in, legacy lots, we're going to tell you about it. And then I think the board can make a decision after we hear that feedback. And that's what Tim Janacek is recommending, that step before we go forward.
Okay. He said it very nicely. And I think that's what I was saying too. So if you're taking his recommendation, or if you're using his recommendation as a motion to be made, then possible.
Yeah, so I took it as, maybe I took it slightly different than you, because Tim mentioned 2 subjects that he wants to have discussed, and one is TDR, right? And TDR is already written into the draft plans, right? So that, he's putting that on. He's not saying. He's saying move forward with the TDR in the plan. He's also, and have discussions, have these meetings. He's also talking about the legacy lots in the same sentence. So I took that as something is going to be approved. Here's what I took it. I took it as, we would approve tonight either scenario 1 or scenario 2. We would move forward to these meetings. We would approve 1 or 2 in a draft, right, to move forward. After the meetings and after the public hearing, then the board would take up the question whether to approve the entire draft.
But you have public hearing steps in between no matter what.
Right.
And then a final approval after that. If we're going to be looking at that he pulled out TDR, it's new. It's a new thing within the comprehensive plan that needs to be out there and vetted and discussed in the public hearing. As well as looking at not only possibility of legacy lots, but also future density. And that's what the work session in May is about, other density considerations. Do we have greater density? Are we promoting greater density other than the splits and the TDRs and the blue scenario one subdividable lots?
Art, what do you got?
The only thing I think you can do on that is a presentation of final draft comprehensive plan. You don't have a final draft ready, so you'll have to table that agenda.
We do have a final draft ready. We do have a final
I
draft
think we can
ready.
approve it to go start the process of public hearings, but I'm kind of lost in what's said here.
Final draft has been approved and submitted to the board.
Tim Roncheck sends a letter to me yesterday or the day before. Yesterday.
You can be.
It's, I don't take his letter the same as what you're saying.
He is looking at
So
additional work. Doing additional things. And going to public hearings. These are things that have been discussed.
and I think that's where it should go. I mean, we can make a motion that the plan commission moves these on to public hearing. I don't know if the rest of the board is ready to approve scenario one, scenario two. I been to every planning commission meeting that this has started, and I don't follow everything you're saying. I missed last month's meeting too.
Take Tim's email. Could you read that again?
Heard from residents who seem to be interested in varying degrees in some of the aspects of the plan. Some voices want to be heard before a final decision. I would like to volunteer a plan commission to serve as a forum for public comments directed at specific subjects, which might be a source of misunderstanding or sharp differences of opinions, so as to more fully inform the town board and residents. What I have in mind is a series of 2 or 3 or more public hearings, each of which would focus on a particular subject. 2 such subjects which readily come to mind are 1, new TDR rules and procedures, 2, rather to revive development rights in the so-called legacy lots. I envision notices being mailed to town residents, advising them of the specific issue to be addressed and the date for each public hearing. The notices would also summarize the background, facts, issues such that the public can decide whether it is an issue they wish to participate in or just stay home. The notices could be worded in such an even-handed way that fairly describes both the current situation and the anticipated effects of the proposed changes. Many of the updates in the current comprehensive plan can readily be labeled as non-controversial, but not all. The Plan Commission would preside over the public hearings. We wouldn't necessarily vote immediately following each public hearing, as we sometimes do. Instead, we could just listen attentively and take some time to let the public's comments sink in before taking a vote at a later session.
This is a recommended by Tim, Chair of the Plan Commission. I move that we proceed with action as outlined in the Tim Janacek letter from as Chair of the Plan Commission to be moving forward with those studies.
Okay, got a motion from,
I think he said it much better than I did.
got a motion from Arlen. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Kate, any further discussion?
Please. I just want clarification that whatever we mean by moving forward, does that mean moving forward with both scenario 1 and scenario 2 to get feedback on each of those? Or does that mean
I take it,
No recommendation.
I take it as we're using Tim Yanachek's letter, is what his motion was, didn't say nothing about scenario 1, scenario 2. It's
Well,
what Tim
again-
Yanachek,
His letter kind of points to.
He does, he mentions legacy, the legacy lots.
Yeah.
So he's mentioning that,
to move forward with public hearings on those.
yes, and then start
That's what the
seeing
motion
what
would
That's, okay.
and see where that goes.
And just to clarify again, public hearings. We don't mean formal public hearings,
Public hearing.
we meet, well, in the sense of. I might need town clerk assistance on this one. In the flow of approval of this. We would have to give notice for the actual formal public hearing,
Sure,
30 days.
sure, right. So and what you really want is once you give that 30-day notice, you want to make sure that all your residents have been vetted. And then you give them 30 days notice, because once you go to public hearing, recommendation is you're going to approve it pretty much following that public hearing. I think the misconception is that we have this public hearing and then we go back to the drawing board after that public hearing. That's not the intention. So I think the intention is let's have public hearings beforehand. So when we actually get to that big public hearing, you're not going to have controversy. It's going to have already, people are going to have their time to talk. Everyone's going to have their time to speak, but we're going to have to actually have that public hearing.
The formal one.
Yes,
And
Yes.
supplemental or additional meetings would be before that, not formally public hearings, but.
well,
whatever
I
we
mean,
call
there are going to be public hearings. We would notify, they'd be like everyone else, but it's not going to be to approve the plan. That formal public hearing you're talking about to approve the plan would happen at the very end, the
Okay.
very end. So the rest of them would be public hearings for all of them.
A key part of Tim's thing is to communicate, get information out to the citizens, property owners, which is gonna take time. And having drafted it, so we may still be having something like a 30-day notice, just for that kind of hearing, but it's not approval of the whole plan.
Yeah, I would suspect, this is how I talked to Tim about it, is we're gonna identify people that are in that scenario two. So scenario two, and then potentially the adjoining landowners of scenario two, and have them come into a session to talk just about scenario two.
I think he was meaning all.
Sure, but we would send letters directly to those folks. So we'll publish it, we'll put it on the website, we'll publish it, but we're not gonna send letters to everyone in the project. That's really expensive. And then we would send letters to just the people that would be in TDR. Notice the whole public. And then if you want to, once we go to that final, we can send postcards to everyone in the township if you wish to during that 30-day limit. It's going to be very expensive to notify everyone by mail. It's about $800 when we did the last mailing. So you're gonna have to decide how many $800 you're gonna want to spend. There's definitely not a budget of $800 for mailings to residents. We could put it in the paper, but would be more cost effective than an Oregon Observer. But that was my taking it, that we would target the people that are
Let's get that,
directly affected.
let's get that clarified.
Yeah.
Hear your question? Anybody else? So I got a motion and I got a second. All in favor is gonna say an aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries.
You post
No, Fred.
Fred goes,
What do you got?
Just have a general question. Is there a deadline for when this actually has to be like done by?
It's already started, so no, there's no deadline. No, they start the process within a 10-year period.
Okay.
All right, that was A. B, density development agreement. Alright,
we can. Let's see. We have have
I see
approved,
it's in here.
okay, do I
Did
have
the
the
Plan commission approve it?
It's on page 22.
22?
Plan commission approve it?
Okay, the plan commission approved the initial developer agreement. There is a ton of detail yet to be submitted and approved. So it's allowing him to move forward, that he's got 2 lots. Yes, the road will be extended. And it can be extended. But or I shouldn't say but, the next step would be to be getting the engineering survey, engineering road, dimensions on the road, the turnaround route at the end. So like I said, a lot of engineering and technical data, but the concept of approving the reconfiguration of the two lots was approved.
So if the plan commission hasn't approved this development agreement, I think it should go back to them. Have them approve it, go through it, and then send it on the board.
It has been. I'm missing
Jennifer
something.
says it has not been approved by the
I
plan
don't think
commission.
you got the developers agreement for the last plan commission. Turn the page, turn the page.
That is not,
I don't remember you approving that plan commission. That.
what did we,
Because, well, you approved reconfiguring the lot. But then the developers agreement didn't come until after the board.
if this didn't come,
Yeah, that hasn't, the plan commission hasn't.
Also, this just says review of just development agreement, so we can't make a decision on it. So I recommend it go back to the plan commission and then they make their recommendation to come back to the board for. We can't act on it anyway, because it says review of just development agreement. That's what you can do is review it,
so this developer agreement,
take it home and read it.
It came after the town board approved the concept. Because last month you approved the concept,
yes,
and then the developers agreement came after that.
okay, yes.
Okay, item 10. Discussion and possible approval of loan application for 2023 road work. Arlen, did you talk to this, or Jennifer, you want to talk about it?
So this is just getting the application process started.
Yeah.
So, as, you know, this is just gonna give me permission to fill this out. This is not the,
We gotta have a motion to give Jennifer permission to fill out the loan application for
So-
2023 road work.
right, so, yes. And so I guess one of the things that we would want to talk about is on page 28, when we're talking about the loan.
Yep.
What would be important to know is, you know, purpose of the loan amount, and the loan term. So what would the board, you know, unfortunately, there was a talk last month about doing seal coating of Netherwood, but the bids nothing happened with the bids, nothing, I don't know where that went to, so I guess I'm a little concerned about our loan amount and the loan terms, since we don't know
We
all
have
of the 2023 road work yet.
to finish this out, we also have the change order. Have we heard back from Pam Dolan on the change? Order?
No.
Okay, so we've got a somewhat of a credit. We have the total amount that was approved in our budget was how much? 400
50, I think that's what,
450?
I think that's what we put in there, yeah.
for the 450. We came in less. We have a change order that's coming. That will be reducing that. We have additional work that could be seal coating, identifying number of roads that could be seal coated and the cost, potential cost thereof. So I think we may be a little bit premature on the total amount.
Okay. Do you want to hold off and put this on the agenda for May?
I believe
Okay,
that would be the best thing there, so we have more. Well,
Okay.
closer to total figures.
yeah.
When would the loan need to be taken out? You're trying to get this into September?
We would like to take it out. It would work best if we took it out after September, because then the first payment then doesn't become due until 2025.
So we do have a little bit of,
Okay,
we got time. And so it like to incorporate some of the seal coat work such as Netherwood, and there was a couple of other possible roads in there depending on the total cost.
good. Item 11, discussion possible approval of curbside exemption requests.
So I don't know how you guys want to handle this. I have been getting the curbside exemptions. So I figured that if we could go through them quickly, we could. A-okay, some of them are just sort of no brainers.
What does the exemption mean?
It means that they would not have the carts at the end of their driveway because they get.
They have a dumpster, so they don't
There you
have to
go.
use pelletier. So they would not be on the tax roll
It's a commercial,
They would not be on the tax roll?
because they pay for their own.
it's a business.
So this is exempting them from doing that. From being billed from the county.
Which is
They pay
part
for
of
it
the ordinance.
themselves, they have their own dumpster, they have a. It shows that they have a contract with the dumpster and it's legit.
Okay,
And I think that's, so I gave everyone, I put on your desk that the ordinance and that is under B1B. In the ordinance that we approved. That if you're agricultural, multi-dwelling or business, that if they provide satisfactory arrangements for own waste and recycling disposal service.
So I got a couple questions. One, so it. 6 months from now, somebody comes in and says they want to get their own, they're a farmer and wants to get their own dumpster.
Mhm.
Can they get back off of it? Of the pelletier and go on their own?
I think it would have to be at like a year mark, meaning like you're gonna have to complete a year and then it would start like Jan 1. Do you know what I mean? So, because it's that, the billing is kind of gonna go that way.
I did have a question too, because on some of these roads I drive on. Do we know, is this curbside pickup where people put their trash on both sides of the road, or is it gotta be on one side?
I don't know the
I
answer
don't
to
know that
that.
either. Driving around this last week. I seen some that were all on one side, they had to cross the road. And I don't know if that's the case or not. I know in the subdivisions, they go both ways, don't they? But I know on the highway I was on. The road. Looking across the street, and I didn't know if that was the case or not. I never thought to ask that, but I just picked it up this last week and I seen it.
I don't
It's
know.
not right in our area, so I don't know either.
When do these exemptions have to be?
Well, the carts are gonna get delivered sometime in June, so they would have to be in by. I mean, I think we had a date in there. Can't
The date on the
remember.
letter that we
You
sent.
did. and
Yeah. I can't remember.
We've got a solitary dumpster.
Okay, so just come and let us know. You gotta fill one of these out because I have to have the person number.
So I mean, what's the board want to do? You want to approve these that we got here tonight? I looked through them. I don't have a problem with them. They're all legit.
So the only person I had a question about was the more recent one was Bill Maher. He is the only one that didn't submit any proof of collection. And that would be it's just got dropped off today. That would be at 1304 County Highway, County Road D.
So I would say that all of them get to be approved except for Bill Maher's until we approve shows that he has a dumpster.
I agree.
That motion,
That is my motion.
got a motion, Fred, is there a second? Second from Kate, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
And then the rest are approved.
if there's. You see. You did have the map in there. For the Carondale group.
Page 51.
So-
There's no dumpster there yet. 51.
So is this 5683 and 5707 Lincoln Road cart replacement is yours?
It's that whole group that I'm part of.
Right, but that's,
Yes.
you brought it forward.
Pardon?
You're the one that brought it forward here.
I brought it,
So
I
you-
mentioned that this is the first time I'm hearing that people say, well, they already have dumpsters and they don't.
So these people already have dumpsters, like if you
Yeah.
looked in the packet, they provided proof of their dumpster I did not, yours, that you did not, nobody filled out an exemption form with dumpsters for your group. It's just on the same line because it's the same topic of curbside.
Oh,
Did you guys put all yours back there by the circle and have them drive in and do it?
So they said they will not drive in, so
They
Harlan
won't drive
talked to
in.
them that they will not drive in. The only,
What, that we're not getting any communication.
so the only place that they would potentially do is this area right here. So the red dot is the mailboxes.
Yes, it is.
So they would potentially pick it up here if they wanted to do it. She outlines it on page 52. She outlines what they would need to do.
I've read it all.
Yeah,
It's, say it's on page 62.
52.
50.
I don't know what you guys want to do. I mean, there is an issue of the blacktop getting broke up and this and that. Military is not going to be responsible for that. It reads that in the letter. I didn't just read it now, I read it before, but if I remember right, it said that, didn't it? And the town's not in charge of taking the repairs either.
Granted.
So I don't know.
Okay.
What do you wanna do?
Communication. Military.
Okay.
So we would like to have some communication with military.
So you want to work on that and then bring it back to the board next month?
I think we're gonna have to. This is not. There's problems.
I mean, this letter came 3 weeks ago.
This letter didn't.
It came March 28th. Oh, 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry. I'm a week off.
I'll receive it, I read it.
I see it to Jennifer Hanson.
Yeah, I forwarded it on to everybody.
Well, whatever it is, here we are. So let's get.
So you want to try to work with military and see what you can do?
We're gonna have to.
Okay. You guys will discuss that next month.
I'll remind Garland that when it comes to vote, you are not allowed to vote. You have to abstain from the vote.
I do.
Okay, just remind you that. If you come back, you will then need to abstain.
Okay.
Yep.
Want to put that on next month's agenda, then, I guess.
Put that on that.
Once he gets it worked out on his own, I don't know. Full board still got it.
Well, I mean, it's not, there's nothing that, it's sort of between them and Pelletary, honestly. I just didn't know, Harlan had emailed and I don't know. It needs to come back, it can come back, it doesn't. need to.
Well, then the residents, let's figure out what they want to do and they can work with military and go to board next month.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, discussion possible action, filling town board vacancy, ordinance 91. That'll start next month.
So, yeah,
I mean,
Kate had kind of asked if, if we wanted the, it's very detailed of how this is laid out, and there's a publication that we would be putting out about people wishing to be considered. So do you guys want that? When do you want that? When, so,
that's up to you three.
Well, I've got, so it's related, I've got a question out to the Wisconsin Towns Association people about what triggers the notice of the vacancy. And it appears that it would be my resignation letter to trigger it. So I'm asking them to give me some idea of the wording on how to word a sentence, when it's effective. Is it effective on a conditional basis when I'm sworn in, or is it should I put some other date? So I don't have an answer for that. I just sent that question this afternoon.
Okay.
But I think that's what triggers the process.
okay,
I mean, it reads that way in part A.
It would seem like if you had something that's effective at the swearing in. We trigger if. I assume that you would be wanting to stay in
Right.
position until.
Right, that's what I'm trying to find. What's the best way to do it?
yeah, the third Tuesday is the official first day of the new term, the third Tuesday they go.
Next Tuesday.
Is that the trigger of the 30 days? Of the
The resignation is.
4 weeks.
So my question is, do we need to have a motion to start this notification? If we can start it after the annual meeting?
I don't,
Or can we,
There's-
is that when you could do it? Because it has to be posted for 4 weeks.
I don't
So
think
the
you
sooner
need
the better, rather than waiting till the May meeting. It would be nice if we could do it.
I don't think we need a motion because it's already in the ordinance. The timing is already spelled out. I think what we need is what I'm waiting for from the WTA is how do I word this thing? Then I turn it in and that can trigger, doesn't have to be related to any meeting. And that triggers Jennifer's
Okay.
ability to post the list.
Could we see if you get some supporting and do it as a group, not as at the annual meeting of the electors? Because the electors, the last time this happened, we were at the annual meeting. And that's when we swore in Jason at that meeting. So we did some business at the end of the meeting for when the spot opened up over here, when Phil's spot opened up.
I don't remember. I really don't. Mark,
What we did when I was on the board, but there was a vacancy, the next, person with the next highest votes took that position.
There's no provision for that.
may I say something? That's not in the ordinance now.
We have
It's
a
not
new
in
ordinance
statute,
that
it's in
we're
the
following
ordinance.
now.
May I say something? Yep, name and address.
Brian Richards, 5441 County Road 8. I can see that a policy was definitely needed for a vacancy when, often there's no one left in there. I think we're missing something in this, kind of understanding the history, what happened. To just shoe in a third voter is kind of a little iffy. But I think something should be worded in this moving forward. That, this covers a vacancy where no one's been available. Take application, it makes sense. But I think you need to pay attention to voters. There was a very close vote for one of the positions here. And I think that should be considered. By moving forward and taking applications, you're ignoring all those votes. Which was close in this case. And I think that might backfire in a different way. That might cause some new problems with the ordinance being this way, especially those who remember how it was done in the past. Someone was just put in there. But if that third person got 2 votes, if a number was in there, 200 votes, something, a percentage.
The reason this ordinance was drafted was because last time a position was filled and we went by who voted and who ran. That's why this ordinance got drawn up, was because of that.
I understand.
So that.
And I think
And
that,
it was more than 2 votes, so that's why this ordinance got drafted by a number of people that were not on the board at the time. That drafted this ordinance so that everybody had a fair shake. Obviously, you ran. I'm assuming you're gonna fill in an application. And then it'll go from there, just like Jason Marshall ran for chair, he could fill out an application. So I'm just saying that's how this ordinance got brought up.
I understand that, and I'm just saying that, think about going forward, that when you have people who came in and voted, this is calling for an application and an appointment to fill a seat, which is kind of bypassing the whole voting procedure.
But there'll be an application to fill out and that'll be the new board's decision.
I understand.
So I have a question about that. Cheryl Sandner, 4670 Union Road. So when an application is filled out, then is any weight given to the fact that the person that ran in the election was 12 votes short of the guy that got the other seat? Is any weight given to that when we're talking about 12 votes different?
That's not my decision to make.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at some of the procedure here. And it does not call for action by the board. It says, once received, town clerk starts the process of notification to the public. So we don't have to have any action. The only action we need is from you to resign and find out what the effective date is. And then you to be determining when you start advertising it. It also doesn't say you've received resignation. I'm not seeing,
The town
Yeah,
seems to have
the
received
town-
notice.
the town has seemed to have received a notice of vacancy on a date the supervisor submits a letter of resignation. So
That's what I'm saying, that would trigger.
There's a date specific.
And then keep in mind too, there is a section in statutes that covers vacancies also, and both of these things have to work together.
So, and that's what you're taking with the Towns Association?
Not necessarily. One of the reasons the ordinance was done was because the statutes don't cover sort of the nuts and bolts of going through the process. So they're more general. The specifics of the wording, say in my resignation letter, is not covered by the statute. So that's why I'm going to WT.
So it looks like you'll work on it next month. Okay, next month,
Before the.
Yes. Okay. RNES. The minutes are in there for Oregon. We swore in one new personnel. And we're still working, just to summarize things, we're still working on the agreement or negotiations with the union yet. And the fire department wants some new equipment like the old Jaws of Life. Now they're battery operated, they're really light. They just got in Oregon, showed it to us for legal. That's all I got. Getting developed.
None of the agenda from last month is in this packet. There are no minutes yet. We didn't attend because it's the same night as our meeting, right? But they're still working on staffing. That's 90% of what's going on now.
Brooklyn, Mark?
I'll agree with you on the jaws with the battery. That. And it's a whole lot safer. You don't have hydraulic hoses dragging around. They're not cheap, but they're a lot more power and a lot better. I guess the good news is that Brooklyn got advanced to or increased their ratings to an advanced service. We can now give IVs, which we were notified at 8 o'clock in the morning that this was a month ago, 3 weeks ago, that we were in advanced service. And 45 minutes later, we put IVs in for the person going to the hospital from that wreck. So it's worked out good. Everything else is going smooth. No problems anywhere. Just great that everybody approved the fire chief, and morale, like I said before, is 100%. They can stop and talk to somebody and there's somebody there. And we got the motor back in car one, and whoever is on duty for that weekend is using that car. So we have jump bag equipment, defibrillator, and everything in that vehicle. So it's really a good first response. Somebody's on the way to the book. So everything is running smooth. Hope I can continue my position.
Right, thanks.
One of the things Tim and I talked about was in the comp plan, there's the 66 road frontage easement. You can have 3 houses up to 66 feet. There was a fire on Union Road that you guys know about, and they're going to rebuild. And part of the concern has been is what are we going to do when existing driveways that might not meet the current ordinance wants to rebuild? Is there a way that we can ask them to bring that up to code?
They have to.
So
I told them that.
you told them that. So I was just wondering is that if with that 66 feet of road frontage and with their driveway permit, if maybe Mark and you could be involved in helping to make sure that all these driveways that potentially are not up, that can be and what they're looking for and things like that.
They called me before they got the permit. I said they have to bring it to But I don't think it's already even building yet, have they?
I'm not sure, but it just making that,
It's all
putting that in our,
What's that?
The house is done.
Well, then, that's Brooklyn, so why don't you and the chief get together and make a visit?
just wanna make
They
sure.
really had a great standard.
It's Oregon's district,
Is that Brooklyn's district?
north side of Union Road.
Okay. I'll tell Chief then, I'll get with Chief.
Yeah.
And then, so you got Jennifer?
Yeah.
You guys,
I'll check, wait, excuse me, I'll check, but it was Oregon's call.
Okay.
But we thought it was Brooklyn's district, but I thought it went up to Bob Johnson's, but I will check with Mesa Fire Chief. on
so,
Legally, whose district it was.
so this board knows there is a new meeting, another meeting next month for the Oregon Commission before you guys meet. You're gonna wanna appoint somebody to go to that meeting on May 4th. Okay,
That's an Oregon meeting.
yeah, the monthly meeting is May 4th. It's always the first Tuesday or Thursday. And I don't want to be a board member, so I can't vote. So
I'll check with
somebody will
Mesa
have
and
to.
find out exactly.
Okay,
The music goes by phone number, phone district.
okay. 14, emergency management. Carl, got anything?
Just that we're gonna pick up the radio replacement project, meeting with, Ron Sampson at the end of the month.
Okay. 15, plan commission report.
I think we've pretty well gone through a lot of things. I've described the work session that's coming up. May 3rd. On Wednesday. So we're looking at waiting for motion that we made. Moving forward.
Okay. Anderson Farm Park, anybody got an Anderson Farm Park?
I have nothing, but I will be attending their meeting tomorrow night.
Is there a meeting tomorrow night? 17, council report, nothing in here.
When, see constables report, so this is his last constable's report.
Yep.
Okay, so then
That can
no
go off
longer
the
be on the agenda.
And then you want to discuss right of way permitting? Is this from Arlen or is this from Jennifer? or both?
This came as an email from Abel that he wants, that this is gonna be talking on the. Who's permitting? That was, it was something that this is some of the telecommunications.
Yeah, so it started pretty much with Bellbrook. We've done this for years. Right away permits have been done for years, and usually I skip them and then I'll send them to Wayne and able to look at. If there's no feedback, I sign it. And but it really started with Bellbrook Road and residents on Bellbrook Road having all sorts of problems.
That's right.
And just there's no oversight and things of that nature. So
It's not only that, there's many of Judd Road has a bunch of them, but there's a number of them that are, a number of things that are unfinished. In there, the road committee is going to be meeting Thursday. We'll be vetting that further, but we need to be having the follow-up on as people are sticking things in the ditches as to what are the pedestals sticking up? Where are they in the way? Because there's a lot of them being randomly placed where they, suddenly in the middle of the ditch where they can't mow. Where they mow and they mow through them. Don't know that they're there.
They do have the right of way though.
Pardon?
They do have the right of way for public service. They do have the right of way for public service.
Yeah, but it's what sticks up.
But I mean, if you want to try to communicate with them, get them moving,
Yeah.
they do have the right of way for public service.
Correct. But it's what
I
they
mean-
stick in the way.
There's a possibility that, I mean, I know in our whole neighborhood, they did an awful lot of work towards the end of the, fall, a couple of years ago. And it was a big mess come April and May. And then I called, and I'm sure my phone call didn't have anything to do with it. But the next day they came out, they said, we were just waiting till the ground thawed, till we had the things to do. So there's a little bit of a chance that maybe some of that mess, because I drove by Glenn Linsmeyer's, maybe
Okay,
they're still planning.
Right.
so. well,
I mean, the weather just
yes,
got nice, so it's like.
Right. But they're way behind in this, so.
We haven't had any, I don't have the detail from Abel. He just wanted to talk about it and come forward. So.
Yeah.
Let's have him talk about it.
We had this issue on Hillcrest and I'm not out there with Intercom. And we just got the problem solved fast. Like,
Good.
They did it right away.
Yeah, if they're willing. Let's get it happen.
And I think they're gonna be working along Hillcrest, if you guys saw that right away permit this
Yeah.
summer. And I know I had a concern about that hill and traffic control when they're doing that. And I haven't heard back from the woman that I reached out to. Which,
They usually
kind of
do.
brings us.
I mean, usually they put up signs, you know,
Yeah, I mean, we've talked before about.
but I think if they're working there, I think they're liable, so I think they would want to put up signs.
And I don't know if that's something that when we get these permits, can we request that they have like electronic signs? Can we, I don't know if that's
Yeah, I don't
something
know.
we should ask them to do in situations like that.
Sounds like Arlen's working on that anyway, right?
Yes.
Senior report,
So they, after they lost the service from Little John's, they got a bunch of volunteers, including some of the restaurants here. And now it's taken care of just till June by the same company that was doing it in part of Dane County, but then they're gonna have to come up with something else for their meals. In the process of that, but everything's been covered as they've needed it, kind of from day to day. And then the other thing is March 12th is a drive-through Rock Fest.
It's just been
March 12th,
May,
you mean May?
May. We've
Okay,
already passed May.
Oh, I was gonna say,
I'm gonna miss my product. It's March.
I'm sorry.
Now, what is this again? The
May
drive?
12th, they have a.
The
rock
Rock
drive-through.
Fest.
Is that it?
Yep.
Thanks. Road and traffic safety, Arlen,
It'll
you're up
be,
again.
we're again, the Wind Ridge extension, when the specifications come through for the work, thought it'd be good to take advantage of the skills, the background skills of the folks that are on the committee. We have two practicing professional engineers and one retired one. That would be good to be reviewing Jensen extension. So be reviewing the specs and passing that on to the board. Good to have that, the skills within the community.
Is that it?
That's it. And then we'll be meeting this Thursday. Is this on here anymore? We're meeting this Thursday for that and other things.
It says next meeting, the 13th of April, 2023 at 9 AM at Town Hall.
Yes.
So 13th.
It's April, or past April. Okay.
It says April 13th. I say March.
Okay.
No, you're good.
Put that.
Good.
Friday the 13th comes on Thursday, isn't
That's
it?
right.
Short report, Fred.
So we had some questions about whether we'll be open on Wednesday, starting May 1st. That's what usually happens, so. The new hours and what's going on. I guess I would say. Start it, see what the. Uses is, and if it's not worth having two guys there for 5 hours. On a Saturday, leave the board, next board's decision on what to.
You mean on a Wednesday?
I meant, sorry, on a Wednesday. Did I say Tuesday?
Just.
Saturday. It's all their day Saturday. So anyway, so it'd be, we'll find out, see, what after a couple weeks in May would be my recommendation as of right now, and you guys can feel it out and see if it's worthwhile being open. Got the traffic and not, and next board's decision to go with what they want. That's all.
Thoughts?
Sounds good.
So, so we should be setting plans for what's happening after July 1st as to how.
You guys can do that next month.
Well, we.
In my motion, at the first of the year,
No, I'm looking at I know what the motion is, but now I'm looking at the next step. How we're gonna finance it. What's the cost? What's it gonna be? We got it, so it's open, and so now how are we gonna pay for it?
if he doesn't pay, then you have to close it.
So it's gonna open May 1st. And then you guys can see how it goes for a month. If you don't like it, you can close it or change your fees or do what you wanna do.
Yep, wait, are we starting with a motion here to be opening?
Yep, I
By
just started
first, if that's the motion,
Yep.
I'll second that.
Yeah, motion from Fred, second from Aaron. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
On the
Put it on the website.
Okay,
and then have on the next agenda to be dealing with the, how to be carrying forward after July 1st.
We talked to him about that next month.
That's why I'm bringing it up now to have it on the agenda.
22, assessor service report. Jennifer?
I got nothing.
Okay, there's just stuff in the. There's stuff in the packet about it, but
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Calendar.
Yeah, just calendars of events. This is more just informational.
Okay.
Talks about just states that.
line 3 is building inspection service report. I didn't look at it. Got a few. Anything new houses? No, don't see nothing new.
So propose.
Purple Bill one, isn't it?
I'm sorry, I did want to say I did get I ordered the order review training too. When I get that, and I'll pass it on.
Okay, board communications, we have the annual meeting next Tuesday night, correct?
Correct.
At 6 P.M.
Um,
Got the agenda out yet or not?
It's here in the draft form, the notice is out. I think this is pretty much finalized, this agenda. We were asked, so we'll have the senior center, we'll have the Oregon Fire, and they're gonna be at the top of our agenda because they go to other townships, because that's the statutory date. Pelletier will be here, Oregon Community Media will be here. And Anderson, Belleville, Brooklyn, Mark left, so I have to see if I can reach him. That's about it. Is there anything else to add?
25, future agenda items. I think I know it would be the. We talked about, put it, write them down. What else you guys got?
I got nothing.
All right. 26, discussion of possible action, building improvements, seek designer.
Oh, we had talked before about this, Carl and I
Right.
worked with it, and so I was thinking is that, could we start moving forward with getting someone in here to look at the office, see what the updates, I think we kind of fell flat with the person.
What
who
happened to our
was-
guy?
I know,
Disappeared,
I know.
faded away.
I know. So
Okay.
what I'm thinking, here's my thought, is if we could get someone who would know what an office should look like, we could get them in here and then we could put out bids for contracting. What that would cost. So. We want to just, I guess, my thought was is just if I could start to get approval to just reach out to see what something like that's gonna cost. I don't have to know.
I think we're just picking up from before.
Yeah.
Because that fell through. So
Right.
whatever approvals we had then, we
Okay.
are still on track.
All right, I mean,
So
it's
it's-
not,
yeah.
it's not to spend any money, it's just to look at what
Right.
the cost. is.
So I think, I don't maybe remember if it was a board decision like that. I think it was.
First I know about
Well, remember we talked about adding on
out there, yeah.
out there, yeah, but I think there was also discussion about storage and office space.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's still,
Okay, so I'll
the
just,
previous approval, I think is still on that.
I was just gonna reach out to some people I don't know. Ryan Kirkwood had some names of some people, so. Okay, and I'll just see and see what it costs, bring it back to you.
Clerk's report and loan update.
So, we have one outstanding loan, and that is for the Oregon capital equipment. Again, I said this last month, we'll pay that when we get an August, we'll get our second half of property tax bills and we'll pay that. Yeah. Election results are in there, and this would be the last election we have of the year, planned election of the year. That's all I have.
Fred, item 28.
So move to adjourn.
Fred makes motion at 7:40 to adjourn. I second it. Any discussion? All in favor, somebody saying aye? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.